The Discipline Engine: How to Build Relentless Self-Control, Unbreakable Consistency, and Life-Changing Momentum Introduction. The moment your life changes. Every transformation begins at the exact same moment. The moment a person finally admits to themselves that discipline is not a skill, not a talent, not a personality type, but a decision followed by a system. Every person you admire, every top performer, every successful creator, every unstoppable entrepreneur has one thing in common. They learned to control themselves. Not because they were born disciplined, not because they had the perfect environment, not because they had more time, more energy, more motivation, or more advantages, but because they built an internal discipline engine, a structure inside their life that forces follow-through, eliminates weakness, destroys excuses, and creates momentum even on days when they feel tired, uninspired, or defeated. This audiobook is the blueprint for constructing that engine. You are not going to try harder. You are not going to get motivated. You are not going to wait for the right time. You are going to turn yourself into a machine of consistency. By the end of this audiobook, discipline will no longer be something you attempt. It will be something you are. Chapter 1. The lie you've been told about discipline. Most people believe discipline is a feeling. They imagine it as a strong surge of motivation, determination, or inspiration that pushes them into action. This belief is the root of nearly all personal failure. If discipline came from emotion, every great accomplishment in human history would have depended on luck, the luck of waking up feeling like doing the work. But the truth is painful and liberating. Discipline has nothing to do with how you feel. Discipline is the decision to follow a rule that you created for yourself before you felt weak. Real discipline is brutally predictable. It is mechanical. It is emotionless. It does not care whether you slept poorly, whether you're stressed, whether you're tired, whether you're discouraged, or whether life feels heavy today. True discipline is the willingness to obey your own standards regardless of your emotional state. Most people don't have a discipline problem. They have an emotional obedience problem. They obey their moods instead of their goals. They obey their doubt instead of their vision. They obey their fatigue instead of their standards. When people say, "I need more discipline," what they really mean is, "I need to stop letting how I feel decide what I do." The discipline engine you are about to build will remove emotion from the equation. Because feelings are allowed to exist, but they are not allowed to vote. Chapter 2. The Internal Contract. Every disciplined person lives by an unwritten contract. This contract is between who they are today and who they must become. Here is the truth most people never accept. You cannot become a new version of yourself by behaving like the old one. Change only happens when you create a binding agreement within yourself. I will do what I said I would do, whether I feel like it or not. This is the internal contract. But a contract is meaningless without structure. You need rules. You need deadlines. You need consequences. You need incentives. You need accountability mechanisms. You need a routine that removes choice so that effort becomes automatic. The reason most people fail is because they leave too much to deciding. Deciding requires energy. Energy is inconsistent. Inconsistency destroys discipline. So instead of deciding daily, you design once. You create your internal contract. You define your rules. And from that moment on, you follow the system, not your emotions. The most disciplined people in the world don't wake up strong every day. They wake up obedient to the contract they wrote for their future. This is the shift you are about to make. Chapter 3. Momentum: The Greatest Force in Human Change. Momentum is the invisible multiplier of discipline. With momentum, small actions feel easy, and progress accelerates at exponential speed. Without momentum, everything feels heavy, slow, and overwhelming. Most people never achieve discipline because they aim too high too early. They attempt massive change without understanding the importance of initial momentum. Here is a rule that will reshape your entire life. Small, consistent actions create more transformation than large, inconsistent ones. One disciplined act per day is infinitely more powerful than one massive burst of effort followed by collapse. A person who works out for 10 minutes every day will outperform the person who works out for 2 hours once a week. A writer who writes 200 words a day will produce more than the person who waits for inspiration to write 5,000 once a month. An entrepreneur who takes one meaningful action daily will outperform the person who binge works randomly and inconsistently. Momentum is the great equalizer. It makes the ordinary unstoppable. It makes the weak strong. It makes the unfocused become laser-focused. It makes discipline feel natural. You do not need to be a monster of willpower. You only need to become a master of momentum. The discipline engine you are constructing will ensure that momentum becomes automatic. Chapter 4. Remove the option. The most disciplined individuals do not rely on choice. They remove it. Choice is the enemy of discipline. Choice invites negotiation. Negotiation creates delay. Delay creates excuses. Excuses create failure. The most powerful sentence in habit formation is, "I don't have the option not to do this," not because someone else demands it, but because you decided that certain behaviors are non-negotiable. Think about brushing your teeth. No motivation required, no debate. No negotiation, no emotional analysis. You simply do it because it is the rule of your life. Imagine if your fitness habits, your financial habits, your discipline habits, your business habits all felt as automatic as brushing your teeth. That is the power of removing the option. When something becomes non-negotiable, discipline transforms from effort into identity. The goal is not to push yourself harder. The goal is to eliminate the possibility of deviation. This is where the discipline engine begins to lock into place. Chapter 5. The 3 disciplines that change everything. There are thousands of habits you could build, but only 3 categories determine 90% of your long-term success. 1. Physical discipline. This includes exercise, diet, sleep, energy management, recovery, physical self-respect. Your body is the vehicle for your goals, and the vehicle must be strong enough to carry the weight of your ambition. The quality of your physical discipline determines how much mental strength you have available, even for non-physical goals. 2. Time discipline. This includes how you schedule your day, what you prioritize, what you eliminate, what you automate, what you delegate. Time is the only resource you cannot create more of. Therefore, mastering time is the same as mastering life. Most people fail because they fit discipline into their schedule. You will reverse this. You will build your schedule around your discipline. 3. Emotional discipline. This is the rarest and most important discipline of all. Emotional discipline is the ability to feel something and do the right thing anyway. Experience fear and take action anyway. Feel tired and follow through anyway. Feel discouraged and stay consistent anyway. Feel doubt and keep going anyway. Emotionally disciplined people do not suppress their feelings. They simply refuse to be controlled by them. When you master physical, time, and emotional discipline, you become unstoppable. You ascend from effort to inevitability. Chapter 6. The Discipline Loop. Every disciplined life follows a simple repeating pattern. 1. Decide the standard. 2. Design the system. 3. Remove the option. 4. Execute the action. 5. Reward momentum. 6. Repeat without emotion. This is called the discipline loop. When you automate the loop, discipline becomes permanent. When you lose any part of the loop, discipline collapses. For example, if you have a standard but no system, inconsistency. If you have a system but you leave options open, negotiation and delay. If you take action but you do not reward momentum, burnout. If you rely on emotion instead of repeating the loop, collapse. Your goal is to build a life where the discipline loop runs continuously, like an engine. You will wake up, perform your disciplines, create your momentum, reinforce your identity, and close the day with confidence. This is how lives change permanently. Chapter 7. The Rule of One. If you try to change everything at once, you will change nothing. Your discipline engine must begin with one non-negotiable habit. Just one. Because one consistent habit does not only improve the area it targets, it begins reshaping your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, as someone who keeps commitments, as someone who is becoming disciplined. Identity is the strongest force in human behavior. Once your identity shifts, adding more disciplines becomes exponentially easier. Start with one, master it, strengthen the engine, then add the next one. This is how you build a disciplined life that never collapses. Chapter 8. Destroying excuses at their root. Every excuse you've ever made comes from one of three sources. 1. Fear. 2. Fatigue. 3. Fragile identity. Let's break them down. Fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of discomfort. Fear convinces people to delay action until conditions feel safe. But fear never goes away on its own. Fear shrinks only when you act in spite of it. Fatigue. Most people underestimate how tired they are, not physically, but mentally. Your brain has limited decision-making energy. If everything requires a decision, you burn out quickly. This is why disciplined people remove options. Fewer decisions equals less fatigue equals more consistency. Fragile identity. If you don't believe you are the kind of person who follows through, you won't. Excuses are not a sign of laziness. They are a sign of identity conflict. This audiobook is rebuilding your identity piece by piece. By the end, you won't just be disciplined. You'll be a person who simply does the work. Chapter 9. The Power of Daily Wins. Most people fail because they aim for big wins and ignore small ones. Daily wins matter more than major accomplishments because they create identity, they build momentum, they prove consistency, they shift self-belief, they anchor discipline. A person who wins the day wins the week. A person who wins the week wins the month. A person who wins the month wins the year. A person who wins the year wins their life. Your discipline engine is built on the foundation of winning today. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you have time. Today. The present moment is the only battlefield that exists. Chapter 10. You versus the old. Every disciplined life begins with a war. The war between who you used to be and who you must become. The old you negotiates, procrastinates, justifies, quits early, waits for motivation, makes excuses. The new you follows rules, executes automatically, removes options, respects momentum, honors the contract, obeys the discipline loop. For the next 90 days, this war will happen daily. But you must understand something. Once discipline becomes identity, the war ends. There will come a day, not far from now, when you wake up and realize that you didn't even think about the discipline habits you once struggled with. You simply did them. That is when your discipline engine becomes unstoppable. Chapter 11. Discipline is built in the dark. There is a part of your life no one sees. The early mornings, the late nights, the private battles, the quiet resistance. This is where discipline is truly built, not in public, but in the unseen hours where your old habits fight to survive. People often think discipline is about dramatic effort, but the truth is far simpler. The most important victories are the smallest ones you win when no one is watching. When you resist the urge to hit snooze, when you open the book instead of your phone, when you take the walk instead of scrolling, when you work on your goals instead of running from discomfort. These dark, silent moments are where character is forged. Every time you win in private, you gain strength in public. Every invisible win becomes a visible transformation. People will eventually ask, how did you become so disciplined? How did you change your life so dramatically? How did you build this momentum? And you will know the truth. You changed in the dark long before the world saw the light. Chapter 12. Micro-resistance. How to train your willpower like a muscle. Willpower doesn't disappear. It gets exhausted when overused and strengthened when trained. The greatest mistake people make is trying to be strong all day long. This is impossible. Willpower is finite. But here's the breakthrough. You don't need giant acts of willpower. You only need micro-resistance repeated daily. Micro-resistance means saying no to one distraction, doing one more rep, writing one more sentence, sticking to one rule, finishing one task before starting another. These micro acts strengthen your mental muscle far more effectively than massive sporadic efforts. Every time you resist the small temptation, you increase your capacity for larger discipline later. Before you know it, you crave structure. You crave order. You crave routine. You crave the feeling of following through. Discipline becomes pleasure, not pain. This is the point where your engine starts running without friction. Chapter 13. The Discipline Killers. Destroy them or they destroy you. There are 3 enemies that sabotage discipline more predictably than anything else. If you do not eliminate them, they will eliminate your progress. Discipline. Killer number 1, chaos. Cluttered environments destroy focus. Messy schedules destroy momentum. Unclear priorities destroy consistency. Order creates discipline. Chaos kills it. You must structure your surroundings the same way an athlete structures their training environment. Discipline. Killer number 2, low-value people. If the people around you normalize laziness, excuses, and stagnation, you will eventually sink to their level. You don't have to cut everyone out, but you must raise the standard and limit access. Your discipline engine cannot run in an environment of low expectations. Discipline. Killer number 3, digital addiction. Your phone is engineered to hijack your dopamine and destroy your attention. Most people lose discipline not because they lack strength, but because they leak attention in 1,000 small ways every single day. If you want to become unstoppable, turn off notifications, remove toxic apps, schedule digital use, create phone-free blocks. Protect your mind the way a warrior protects his weapons. Your discipline engine cannot run if your attention is bleeding out. Chapter 14. Rituals. The glue of consistency. Motivation is unreliable. Willpower is limited. Emotion is inconsistent. So how do the most disciplined people stay consistent? Routines hold their lives together, but rituals give those routines power. A ritual is a symbolic action that anchors your identity. Examples. A morning stretch that signals the day has begun. A cup of coffee paired only with deep work. A nightly reflection that signals closure and preparation. A pre-workout routine that activates your physical discipline. These rituals act as triggers that automatically shift your mind into the proper state. Think of rituals as psychological switches. Once flipped, your brain stops negotiating and starts performing. Rituals turn discipline into instinct. Chapter 15. The Power of Vows. Why declarations change behavior. Human beings are wired to keep promises, especially promises spoken aloud. This is why declarations are transformative. A vow is not a wish. A vow is not a plan. A vow is not a hope. A vow is a personal proclamation of identity. I am the kind of person who follows through. I am the kind of person who honors my word. I am the kind of person who does the hard things. I am the kind of person who completes what I start. When you declare a new identity, your subconscious immediately begins working to align with it. This is the secret of self-transformation. Behavior follows identity, and identity can be chosen. Say your vows daily. Say them with certainty. Say them until you believe them. Then watch your actions transform to match your self-perception. Chapter 16. How to Never Miss 2 Days. The number one rule for permanent discipline: never miss twice. Anyone can miss a day. Life happens. But missing twice is how momentum dies. One break is human. 2 breaks is habit collapse. The strongest individuals are not perfect. They are simply ruthless about protecting their streak. If you miss one day, forgive immediately. Resume immediately. Do the minimum necessary. Restore the loop. Never allow guilt to become an excuse. Never allow one failure to become a pattern. This rule alone will keep your discipline engine alive for life. Chapter 17. The Future Self Method. One of the most powerful mental frameworks is imagining yourself as 2 people. 1. Your present self. 2. Your future self. Your future self. Your present self wants comfort. Your future self wants greatness. Your present self wants convenience. Your future self wants victory. Your present self wants short-term pleasure. Your future self wants long-term transformation. Every undisciplined choice sacrifices your future self. Every disciplined choice honors them. Before every decision, ask, what would the future version of me want me to do right now? This transforms your behavior instantly because human beings are wired to protect the person they care about. You must learn to care about your future self as if they were your child, because in a sense, they are. Chapter 18. Discipline Under Pressure. Most people can be disciplined when life is calm, but discipline under pressure, that's the true test. Pressure comes in many forms: stress, fatigue, hard days, unexpected problems, emotional chaos. Here is the truth: if your discipline only works when life is easy, it is not discipline, it is convenience. To operate under pressure, you need shorter routines, simpler habits, fewer steps, clear rules, immediate action. During difficult times, reduce complexity, not standards. The disciplined person remains disciplined, even wounded. This is what separates the average from the unstoppable. Chapter 19. The 90-Day Transformation Window. Every major life transformation happens inside a 90-day container. Why 90 days? Because identity rewrites in 90 days. Habits automate in 90 days. Momentum compounds in 90 days. Results become visible in 90 days. Discipline becomes natural in 90 days. If you commit to the discipline engine fully for 90 days, your body will change, your mind will sharpen, your money habits will improve, your environment will transform, your confidence will explode. 90 days is long enough to create permanent change, but short enough to feel manageable. Your only job for the next 90 days is to honor the loop, remove the options, protect your momentum, and obey the contract. Do this, and the next version of you will be unrecognizable. Chapter 20. The Inevitability of Discipline. There comes a moment in every transformation when you no longer wonder whether you'll succeed. You simply know. Your identity is different. Your habits are automatic. Your discipline is instinctual. Your momentum is undeniable. This is the moment discipline becomes inevitable. You reach a point where you don't negotiate. You don't hesitate. You don't sabotage. You don't collapse. You don't quit, because quitting no longer aligns with who you are. Discipline is no longer an action. It is a personality trait. It is ingrained. It is permanent. It is your default setting. You no longer try to be disciplined. You are disciplined. This is the purpose of the discipline engine, not to help you force yourself through life, but to transform you into a person for whom greatness is natural. Conclusion: the person you have become. You began this audiobook wanting discipline, but what you've built is far greater. You have built a system, a structure, a mindset, a contract, an identity, a machine of momentum. You no longer rely on motivation. You no longer wait for inspiration. You no longer depend on circumstances. You act, you execute, you follow through. You honor your standards. Your engine is running. Your momentum is building. Your transformation is already unfolding. The old you is gone. The new you is inevitable. You are disciplined. You are consistent. You are unstoppable. This is the beginning of the rest of your life.